Hello, y'all. How's it going? I'm back, and I want to get straight into the first topic. I don't want to waste my time nor yours making short, semi ironic videos that can only be compared to an Earl Grey overdose induced fever dream. Let's get to it. You've read the title. You can imagine that this won't be an overly positive video. If anything, it will be pessimistic, uncomfortable, and annoying. I suppose I should give a trigger warning if that wasn't immediately obvious by the title of the video. Here's a chance to scram and not learn about an uncomfortable part of life. You gone yet? No? Sick, dude. Most people don't want to think about the end of their life, me included. Ironic as it may be, of course, spending 2 weeks with family over Christmas inspired me to think about what dying feels like. The conclusion that came to me after that process was, how about we don't think about that? I want to go through the thought process I've gone through recently, all my worries, conclusions, and questions. I do not claim to have answers, and I don't really have any way of comforting you either, but I can offer you some advice and let you know that this is a very common fear. This entire video will be from my point of view, which is, shockingly, the only point of view I am always followed by. Why do I think about this so often? If humans didn't have this innate adversity towards, literally unliving, we probably wouldn't be around anymore. Humans used to have it hard. You leave your cave, you cease. You drink bad water, you cease. You poop at the wrong time, you cease. Well, there are places on Earth today where this may still be the case to an extent. Even in those situations, people do not have to fear losing their life literally all of the time. I believe that one reason as to why I always think about it is because I don't realistically need to worry as much as my ancestors. It is a thought process without much of a process. Usually it goes something like this. Hey, if I do this, I might die. Let's not do it. Then my brain says, I would like to reiterate that this is just my opinion. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but this is just what I think makes sense to me. Because of the reflexive nature of that thought, it doesn't require a lot to be triggered. There's no complexity to it. Since we no longer have the same kind of need for that thought as we used to, I think my mind tries to push it into random thoughts as a way to make sure I don't forget that I'm supposed to avoid ceasing to live. Again, as it is a reflex to think I shouldn't do something because it may be the end of me, it should logically attach itself to certain experiences. If a person runs at me with a knife and tries to pull what I call a classic British moment, my brain quickly latches on and realizes that I should escape the situation and avoid getting into a similar one in the future. But what if your brain associates those thoughts with mundane tasks or some arbitrary state of mind? You see where I'm going with this? What do you do when, instead of thinking a lion's chasing me, I'm about to have a British moment, I'm thinking, I just did my laundry, I think I'm about to die. Well, then, we have a slight problem in it. How can you escape everyday life, and how do you avoid it? Drugs are one option, of course, but if you start to use drugs to avoid life, there's still a good chance you will eventually have some kind of enlightenment about life and death, and then you use them to cope with life. Guess what? Despite that being an unhealthy coping mechanism, it evidently works as people continue with everyday life and then use drugs to cope retroactively. There are countless other ways to cope with life, but the one that really troubles me is nothing other than, okay, everybody together now? Social media. This topic has been addressed a countless number of times at this point, so I'll keep it as short as possible. I'm definitely going to keep it short because I wouldn't lie on the internet. Do I think that social media is purely bad? No, not really. I think it can be an effective marketing tool and it allows you to keep up to date with friends, family, colleagues, and acquaintances. The problem is, however, that I easily fall into a trap of comparing my life to others without even realizing it. I'm sure most others do as well. And, at that point, what can you do? It's no longer a question of what the hell is Aunt Jemima doing. No, now it's a question of why does everybody prefer this person's dog over mine? I have the best dog in the damn world! At that point, it's no longer a question of sharing your favorite Beagle Eyes show moments. Now you're just wondering why capitalism has failed and why are we all so damn miserable. When I realized that I'm not as important as my brain believed me to be, I felt awful. Life felt awful. As a friend of mine said to me at one point, no one is bulletproof. A bullet to the head kills us all the same. Even though this is a very brutal way of phrasing this, he's not wrong. No matter how much better other people's lives seem, we all go through the same life. We are born, we live, we die.
But what does this have to do with social media? I get the loose connection, but social media is not the only way to come to these conclusions.
Well, yes, but social media allows people to go through these thoughts more abruptly, and it will affect more people than reading a book or something. Humans used to have less time to do things outside surviving. It eventually got a lot better, but with the way that capitalism has absolved us of our freedom and time, the only thing a lot of people have time for is using social media. No matter how you like using social media, it is an empty sensation. Since you're not really doing anything when scrolling social media, your brain will eventually find those thoughts of living a meaningless life. Then eventually, when you are in a situation when you are not using social media to escape these thoughts, the intensity and frequency of these thoughts will increase and the cycle continues perpetually. But can you help it? No. To find fulfillment in a hobby requires work, time, and dedication. With everyone getting less time to spend doing what they like and receiving less money out of their jobs, there is no way you can expect others to possibly waste an entire year learning some new skill for a hobby they may find they dislike after all. Which leads me to the next part of the video. What can you do? If you took that question personally, then I think you have some problems you need to take care of, but generally there's not much you can do. I've gone over the basics. You live, you die, yeah, that's about it. What should you do? Now that's a different question entirely. I said in the beginning of this video that there won't be any positivity, but that was a lie. That is dependent, however, on your point of view on this matter and how you take what I tell you next. Do what you want. Life has no meaning. Not only that, but you don't have a purpose either. Of course, people believe we have a reason to exist, that there must be something after death. Realistically, though, can we say that for sure? The true intellectuals and free thinkers might say that there is no way of knowing since none of us have died for a significant amount of time and come back to tell the truth. Well, guess what? Those people are afraid of dying. It's naive to believe humans will live eternally in some perfect paradise. This is our one shot at it. Don't F it up. Or do. It's up to you at the end of the day. My thoughts on rationalizing death. This part of the video will probably be the most discomforting part. I believe that reincarnation is the most logical and rational belief when it comes to life after death. Your energy will literally be dispersed into the universe, and your body will be eaten by other creatures and renewed into more energy. Logically, the same should happen to the soul. The problem is, however, that if this were to be true, you shouldn't be able to remember any past life, and that each time you die, consciousness resets. Then why are you aware of your existence at this very moment? If you can't remember the past life, then why do you remember this life? Why are you able to act right now? It should mean that next time you live, you won't remember this moment. Even if you are somehow alive again, it will be a different you. You will die, and that is the end of the story. Literally. Conclusion. The conclusion to this video, well, there isn't one. I mean, how can you conclude this? The point of this video is that I have no idea. Do as you wish, when you wish to, and for whatever reason. I've made this video to hopefully help somebody who's going through what I am going through at the moment. We can do this. I know we can, because we don't really have any other options. Now that you and I are thinking about how nothing is worth anything, and we could literally die tomorrow, I've got some good news for you. If you enjoyed the music in the background, there will be more of it to come in the next couple of months. I will be announcing something very cool, so stick around and try not to die. I'm about to have a British moment.